How's everyone doing today? Good? It's a beautiful day. Starting to get colder outside. Temperatures are coming down, at least in the East Coast. Snow's going to be falling soon. It was snowing out in, I think I was watching a football game on Sunday. They said it was snowing a little bit in Minnesota, like a week before. Or was it a baseball game? It wasn't a baseball game, it was a football game. Because the Twins, which are the Minnesota Twins baseball team, is no longer in the playoffs, so it couldn't be the Twins. But starting to get chilly. It's almost going to be Halloween, which is a terrifying holiday for me. I just don't like it. It's a very strange one. Thanksgiving is going to be right around the corner, and then Christmas is going to be falling up very, very closely behind Thanksgiving. And I think Thanksgiving this year is actually in December. Or if it's not in December, it's close to December. Well, I know my break is like into September or into December, but have a very big shirt on today. Had a great workout. Back on the diet. I think it's like 4 or 5 days. Well, it's been like 3 days since I did a podcast. And been hitting my calories every day, 2,450 calories. Weight's been coming down. I was like steadily clocking in at like 210 pounds every day. So I clocked in at 201, 203 this morning, which is Monday, which is fine because Sundays, I don't count my calories exactly. Or at least I count them up to a point, and then I have like an extra like 600, 700 calories. So it's fine whenever I clock in at like a lower weight or higher weight on Mondays. I don't worry about it too much. But how was everyone's weekend? Was it good? Did you do everything you wanted to do? Did you accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish? Did you accomplish nothing, which could have been something if that was your goal? I did a lot of just relaxing, did a lot of studying. Halfway during school, halfway over with this semester of school, which is pretty insane to think about. There's something about working full-time and going to school where it doesn't feel like, since there's something else that takes up the other half of your time, you don't feel like you're just constantly like bombarded by school, which for me makes it a little bit easier, and it just makes it feel a little bit calmer, and it allows my schedule to be fully developed instead of just only focused on one specific thing, aka school. But it's a good weekend. I went and I saw the movie that I publicly said I wouldn't see in theaters. I said I wasn't going to see the Joker in theaters because I was scared, because I'm a child. But I was scared that it was going to be some type of disturbance. And honestly, I just didn't want to see that movie in public because it just seemed like a very psychological, disturbing movie. And it's almost like a movie I wanted to watch at my house. I guess like out of comfort. But it was Saturday night and we had a day off. I had a night off, so I just decided to take my dad to the movies. So I went to go see the movie and we saw the Joker, and it was good. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend seeing it. I thought it was one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I think the reason why I think that is the more and more I've been learning about personality traits related to like upbringing of childhoods and genetics, behavioral events that happen as a child, I've really been able to appreciate, I guess appreciate the way that I've been able to develop into a more or less just a healthy individual. So it was really interesting for me to watch a movie where it was a gentleman who essentially, the whole movie was him spiraling out of control. You know, that's all it was. It was just a person spiraling out of control. And I think for a lot of people, it's not a movie that is attractive because it doesn't have a positive. Uh, there's nothing positive about it, and I think a lot of people want to see movies that make them happy, um, that they can get something good out of it, that they can go home and fall asleep that night, not thinking about anything negative about the movie. But I think, I think the complete opposite. I think that in order to really appreciate like the good or like the peaceful times or like the non mentally disturbing intrusive times, you have to really at least listen, understand, or appreciate in a weird way what the other side of the road looks like. And that's what this movie did. It really just showcased a man who couldn't catch a break and couldn't find stability, and who was genetically um, already disturbed. Um, Almost like it was. Everything. It's split personality, schizophrenic. It's like constantly going in and out of psychosis. Um, everything. Everything. Just a disconnect from reality. And we all have seen people like that. And it was a movie that I think, like, I loved it. I walked out of the theater and I thought it was great. I thought it was great. And my dad thought it was good. Maybe he didn't think it was as great as I did because it was so negative, which, I can totally understand. He's a police officer, so it's not like, for him, you would want to go to a movie that's an escape from your job, which makes 100% sense. Like, I completely understand that. But I loved it, and I highly recommend it to a lot of people. And I think I don't know if it's a movie that you want to take everybody to. Like, it's definitely not a movie to go on a first date with. It honestly it depends who you're going with, but could be a little bit of judgment from the opposite party if you take them to the Joker, and if they don't have a deep fascination with severe mental instability, then you could come off as a crazy person. So you might want to be careful with that. But it's definitely a movie that I think everyone should see. And I think if you don't want to see it, I think you're definitely someone that needs to see it. It's not like scary in the sense because, and I think the reason why it's not like super scary, or at least I didn't think it was scary, because the acts that the Joker were performing they made sense. Like that's like what I just said sounds crazy, but from that perspective, like that brain, like the way the Joker was, his mental disadvantages, it made sense for every act that he partook in, and there was some disturbing scenes in it, but the scenes were rightly placedly disturbing. Like, they made sense. Nothing was out of the ordinary, at least for me. But I don't know. I highly recommend it. I think you should go see it. I think you should definitely, if you're interested in anything like that, or if you've ever thought about like what could happen, or what's like the worst situation, and honestly the situation that is reality for a lot of people, I think you should see the movie. That's just me. But what do I know? Like, who knows? Um, but I put up a few reviews of the movie that I just want to go over real quick. All these are from, I guess, movie critics, which I don't know how you become a movie critic. Like, I don't know how you become a professional. Like, I guess all these people are top critics. But I don't really understand how you can become a top critic. I don't understand how that works. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I know for me, I'm not gonna read. Like, I've never been the person. I know there's plenty of people out there like this. Unless I travel and I'm like in a new city, I'm never gonna go on like Yelp. I'm gonna like look up ratings on anything to decide for me if I'm gonna attend. I think it's really important. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not important, but I do think there's something very valuable about trying anything out yourself and then reserving an opinion instead of absorbing someone else's opinion or thought or rating on a event, place, even a thought, and then partaking in it. Also, it's really important to develop your own opinions and your own thoughts and challenge them and see if they uphold. Um, yeah. So that's kind of, neither here or there, near or here or there. But so before I read these reviews, I'm going to read good ones, I'm going to read bad ones, but at the end of the day, I think you need to go see the movie. And listen, I'm not a movie person. Like, I'm not a movie person. I don't like going to movie theaters. I don't like the idea that everybody's attention is just absorbed into the screen. Like, I mean, I thought that even before Colorado. Like, I remember when I was young, I would go to the movies, and halfway during the movie, I would turn around, I would start watching the people. Like, I was young, like 10 years old. $1 coffee, any size, at Wawa, and I think Royal Farms, and I think most coffee places besides Starbucks. Dude, Starbucks never has discounts. Isn't that crazy? Like, they never have public discounts. The discounts they get, the discounts that they have, I think are like through the membership program. But that's just so crazy to me. Like, some of the top companies in the world, they just don't do discounts. Like the top car manufacturers. You never see like a blowout for Lamborghini. Like, you never see a blowout sale for Starbucks. Unless like the top company's whole idea is to have the lowest price, like Amazon or Walmart. But like luxury brands like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, they just don't have blowout deals because like their market is not people who are looking for a discount. Their market is for people who can spend money at the top price without worrying about spending the money, or at least act like they have the money, which doesn't always work out in the end. But yeah, let me just take one more sip and I'm gonna start reading a few of these reviews. I'm going to say the names of the people too, which I don't think can get me in trouble because they're public reviews. And my podcast is like we little tiny guys, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, man, but it's Monday and I'm in a very calm mood. I don't know if you can tell by like the voice and everything. I'm just, my parents are also here, but one of my really good friends are coming in town this Monday, and I'm really excited to see him. Haven't seen him for a while. And after I'm done with this podcast, I'm just going to read. I'm not going to read. Well, I'm going to do a lot of studying. Got 2 exams on Thursday, but I'm finally comfortable with studying, and I'm comfortable with my classes, and I'm doing well. I have 3 A's, a B, and a C, which I don't know if you guys know this, but I have like a 2.0 GPA, so I'm fighting just to get into a program. And the reason why my GPA is so low is because I dropped out of school, which I've talked about one too many times on this podcast, but so it's led to me really how to fight for my GPA, which, knowing me, knowing my personality, especially if you know me personally, like the fact that I'm fighting to stay in school, like GPA wise, not for like criminal or anything like that, it shouldn't come as a shock. Like, it's almost like this is the only way I can go to college is I got to take the road, not less traveled, but I guess less traveled, but the road that is the hardest. Got to roll up my sleeves. I'm getting very uncomfortable with this super long shirt. Body dysmorphia, man. It's a bitch. But yeah, like I have to create like a hard situation for myself because that's very self-deprecating. No. That's not the word. That means pooping. I'm very hard on myself. There's got to be a better word. So I almost have to like make the situation very hard so I can prove to myself that you are capable, because sometimes I feel like I don't want to take the easy road because that just feels like cheating almost, which is stupid. And I'm not saying that like if you just go straight out of high school into college, take your SATs. Dude, when I took my SATs, I took them and I didn't answer half the questions. Like I didn't do it. And I took like 6 AP courses in high school and I did well. I got like A's and B's in them, but for the test, I just didn't do them. Like I did them, but I mean, I didn't think on them. I just kind of wrote my name, did a few. I did all the essays, but I didn't do any of the multiple choices. And that was just kind of me. Like I was just just all over the place. And I didn't have a plan. Like I didn't have a checklist. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I didn't like what I was doing and I wasn't appreciative of what I had, and I wanted to prove to people that I didn't need this. And, I self-inflicted damage to myself so I could overcome and succeed. And then people would think I was different and, whatever. Figured that out in therapy about a year ago. So this past year has just been insane. It's been absolutely insane where I was and where I am today. I don't even know how to put it into words. I don't even recognize the person I used to be, which for some people in some circumstances is scary. Not scary. It is scary. It is scary to see that change can happen in 1 year. It's scary because there's the opposite side of that too, So I think I'm aware of that, but I think a lot of people just get really comfortable with where they are, even if they are in a destructive path. It doesn't matter, because you can be destructive and evil, but if you're comfortable in it, you're not going to leave it because change is scarier than pain. People will drag themselves through pain all the time. And then those are the hardest situations because you have friends and family saying, "Why are you doing that?" And the person respond knowing that it's not healthy, knowing that the situation isn't good, and knowing that they deserve better. But that's not the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it because the change is just so much more intimidating than even the idea of it being better. And the psychology behind that's insane. And I don't know it. I'm not going to say I know it, but I do know that it's true. And for a lot of people, they just get comfortable in a rut because even a rut is progress, just downward spiral progress, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of progress it is for a lot of people. You can have positive progress, you can have negative progress, which is a regress. And if you're regressing, but you're doing it well, like if you're a very proactive and consistent loser, it doesn't matter because I would not me personally, but generally for most people, it's easier to be a loser than to change to become a winner. What was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about, but yeah, so maybe I was talking about school, maybe. Yeah, I guess I was just saying like how farther I am in school and I feel good about it and things are finally working out and oh yeah, the past year, that's what I was talking about. Past year has just been insane and I'm appreciative to everybody who's been helping me, and we're on episode 33 of a podcast, which is insane. It's a lot of talking, man. It's a lot of talking, that's a lot of listening. So let me get started. I'm gonna start off with just a few positive ones, and I'm just gonna go a few. I don't like doing this too much. Like I don't like really just showcasing negative comments all the time. But I do think it is important to really. It's also important to see the other side. Like I can understand why some of these people are very negative on the movie. I could totally get it. But I was looking at it as like first of all, the actor. Joaquin Phoenix was insane. He was incredible. He lost like 52 pounds for the role, which, you know, it's it's like a half of a small woman. Like it's like half of a tiny person. Dwarf, midget. I'm sorry, I don't know the proper term for them. I don't. I think it's dwarf. I think dwarf is the right term. If you're a small person, please tell me. I'm talking like a legit dwarf, not like someone who's like 5'3". Now that I offended everybody. Okay. I'm gonna start off with, I guess, a good one if I can find one. Here's a mediocre one. By James Barandinelli from Real Views. He said he got a 3. He said 3.5 out of 4, which is a good rating, I guess. Although it may be difficult to like this film in a conventional sense, it offers a powerful and unforgettable experience that few will find easy to shake. I like that one a lot, and I didn't like pre-pick any of these because it does. I don't like the movie in the sense of like, oh, I love the smell of flowers, like they smell good, or like, oh, my heart was so happy last night when my kid did well at the, band show. It was like I like it because you appreciate it in a weird sense. So it's true. Like it was true in a conventional sense. It's not like a happy feel good movie. It's like, oh my god, I just got hit by a freaking train. Like it takes a lot out of you, which I think is art. Like that's art, right? That's art. That's you see paintings of just depressing artists. What's that one artist? Painter of post-war. Like you see these, like art has always not. Art's never seen good or bad. Art's just always been art. Anything that provokes an emotion from you, I think is good. I hate that word, but like I think is successful. That's successful. A provoking emotion from you is super, super successful. Like this. I read about this in my book. I forget. I forget what book I read this in. I think it was. I think it was The Human Instinct by Kenneth R. Miller. But it's called a mile long jagged cliff. So I think it's called the 10,000 mile stare. 10,000 yard stare. By an artist named Thomas Lee, and it's an image that doesn't provoke positive thoughts, doesn't provoke the feeling of happiness, but it provokes emotion. It provokes a just as real emotion as the emotion of being satisfied, of being comfortable, of being in a pleasant situation. This is an image of a soldier during World War II who is at a battle, the Battle of I don't want to get it wrong. I'm not gonna find it. But he's at a battle during World War II, and you can just see destruction going on behind it. There's a tank blowing up a mountainside. There's planes dropping bombs on people. There's bloodstains on the mountains. There's a person behind a tank who's just sitting down looking at his knees, just completely at a loss of thoughts and words. And there's just pure destruction. It looks like and I don't mean this in a bad way or in a non thought for sense, but it looks like the forest of California from all the wildfires, but not naturally produced, just produced by humans. And you can see in the eyes of this soldier, he looks like he has a bullet hole in his helmet, but not punctured, not punctured all the way through, but just round, and it's off to the side, and he has his shirt, his buttons are undone, and he's just staring at nothing, but it looks like he's staring at hell. There's nothing in front of him physically besides just pure evil. It's not like a person. It could be people, but it's just pure hell. And the 2,000-yard stare, you can just see in his eyes that he's no longer there. And every emotion he's feeling is so strong that it just puts him in a panic. It puts him into a loss of consciousness. That's what that movie did. It doesn't put you in a panic, but it puts you in a sense of, holy crap, what did I just watch? It's a film about cinema, made by and for pop culture sophisticates. It doesn't have to mean anything. Carrie Lingle of Arizona Public, 4 out of 5 stars. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone. I think he's a big guy. I think I've heard of him before. I think he's credible to be a movie star. What's so weird about being a movie star, about being anything, even a critique or a restaurant taster, food or person, but being a commentator for any sporting event or anything. You have to be honest, and sometimes you have to be super negative. And if you just so happen to get the luck of the draw, every movie you see and everything you watch and everything you do is really good, not picked by you, so there's no bias option there, and you just like everything, you won't ever be a professional, because you got to show that you didn't like something, or you're going to lose your job, because nobody wants just the person at their movie review business. Sorry about that. If you guys can hear my dog, she's just barking nonstop. Someone in front of the house, which is always fun for a podcast. It makes the podcast go really, really well. That background noise is awesome. It's the best. There's nothing better than that. She's going to keep doing it too, which I love when she barks so much. I can't think when she does it. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Peter Travers says, forget the overhyped controversy, which I should forgot because that was stupid. Joker is simply stupendous. That word is funny, by the way. Stupendous, stupid. I'm immature. Is simply stupendous as entertainment and provocation, with a gut punch performance by Phoenix, who's the author, the main character, that puts a horrifically human face on iconic comic book villain. I like that review too. It's a good one. Here's Brian Truitt of USA Today. I feel like I've heard of him too before. Joker is on the surface the origin of a supervillain, but more subtly in the exploration of empathy and the personal impact of society devoid of it. I love that. That's my favorite. That's my favorite. And that was a 3 out of 4. That's my favorite one, because that movie I think is so fascinating, because it shows it's a reflection of more than just of the movie. It's a reflection of society. The way we deal with people who suffer from mental illness, the way we don't deal with them. And that's the main issue. We don't deal with them. In the movie, they cut funding for basically social services. And that's the reality of the world we live in. If we ever cut anything, we cut education, we cut health, before we cut anything else. We cut those things that keep people rational, that keep people alive, so we can give money, so we can keep our whatever programs that aren't valuable up and running. And I love that review, because that's what the movie did. It really showcases how society has and will continue, if nothing is changed, to just fail those who need help. People get written off so quick. They get written off so quick because, just like with other cultures, when people get like have xenophobia towards whatever an opposite ethnic group or a religious group, it's not that they genuinely hate them, that they genuinely or might turn into that, but it starts from a place of misunderstood. I don't understand you. I don't know where you come from. And I think that's the same thing that we see with mental health today is we don't understand. You know, if you don't suffer from a mental illness, like I do not have any mental illnesses as far as I know, because I know people who do have them. So I can understand, I can compare and contrast. And I'm okay compared to someone who does have an anxiety disorder, someone who does suffer from depression. But we outcast these people because we don't understand them. That's honestly, this is why you see 10 books right next to me that I've read front to cover, because I have that fear that I don't ever want to be in a situation where I can't understand an opposite culture or an opposite group of people or a person with a different type of viewpoint on anything. I always want to understand. And that's why I don't solidify any of my opinions as facts for me. You know, my opinions are, people don't like to hear this, but I honestly think it's important. I think it's important to have core values. Don't kill somebody. Don't cheat on someone you love. Don't intentionally hurt somebody. Don't take someone else's freedom. Things like that. But I think it's also important to not solidify facts on things that could change or things that you have because of somebody else taught you. You know, I think it's really important to, if you are somebody who is against abortion, everything about it sucks. You say, if you kill a baby, I don't care what part of your pregnancy you kill them, you should go to hell. Okay. Let's just say, for example, that's my thought. It is not, but let's say it is. And you refuse to believe, or at least not believe, but at least listen to someone else's viewpoint. Hey, man, you know, I think abortion should be a law for it. Like, you should be allowed to do it. It should be legal. And then if you just go like, nope, not listening to you, then there's going to be friction, you know? There's going to be a misunderstanding. Not even a misunderstanding, an intentional misunderstanding. A push away from the opposite person. And it's going to lead to nothing positive comes from that. You know, instead of going, oh, really? You think that killing babies should be allowed? Explain. And then they might go into something like, well, if the person was raped, or if the person, and they didn't want to have the baby, or if they're just not, or if them having the baby, the life isn't put together enough that they know that their baby will suffer more later in life than it will suffer getting rid of it, or, having resentment towards a baby. If you have resentment toward a baby, you think it's good to have that baby, or things like that. There's got to be a line of understanding. And that's what I really like about this review, is the impact of a society devoid of it. We run away from things that we don't know. If you don't understand it, you walk away from it, or you make fun of it, then you leave it, or you just don't ever come close to it again. That's not healthy. You gotta at least give everything a chance. I don't know. Then again, what the hell do I know? Here's Mark Daniel, 4 out of 4. Toronto Sun, so a Canadian. Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix deserve credit for reimagining what a comic book movie can't be. One that isn't encumbered with setting up multi-movie plot lines, and one that can go to place other films in this genre cannot. That was cool. To me, I forget that he was like a supervillain. Like, the only reason why I really knew that he was a villain, like in a comic book sense, was because the illusion they made of Batman. And I'm not going to give it away, but I'm trying not to give away any part of the movie, as you can tell here on this podcast. I'm not giving away any of the plot. But the illusion they made of Batman to Bruce Wayne was the only reason that I remembered the Joker was actually an enemy to Batman. Because it just took to a mentally disturbed person. So I guess I can understand if you give a negative viewpoint from, Joker, which means they need to stay within the realm of comic book villain. I can get it if you didn't like it because of that sense. feel like a real comic book nerd, essentially, or buff, or someone who just loves comic books, I can get where you're coming from there, but I'm not. I've never really been crazy about comic books, so I don't really worry too much about that. But I can understand if you wanted more of a plot from a comic book, I can get it. But I do like how they really, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix really went outside of the box and just showcased somebody who is in a downward spiral, keeps hitting their head, and no one reaches an arm out to save them. Here's a few negative ones. Here's one more positive one. Kevin Mayer of The Times UK. It's a beautiful, demented jewel of a film. The superhero movie, alas, for our time. It's interesting. Let's go over a few. Oh, maybe not. I think my internet disconnected. No, it's there. Okay. Here's a. Not a lot of. Here's a 2 out of 5 by Matthew Lacona of San Diego. Reader. If there is a meaningful difference between performing and acting, Joaquin Phoenix is surely amplifies the former here. Creepily contorting as the clown, Prince of Crime, and Todd Phillips' timely, toxic take on the making of a murderer madman. Joker is a movie that you ignore at your own peril by Matthew Rosa of Saloon.com. Okay. I guess. I mean, I guess you would. Yeah, I guess you would have ignored it at your own peril if you don't have a sense of comfortability with who you are. You know, like if you don't have a sturdy foundation and you're easily swayed, yeah, I guess avoid it. But if you are somebody who is willing to at least listen to somebody else, then I don't know, different viewpoint, maybe you should go watch it. Whatever. John Wenzel, Denver Post. Perhaps the bleakest assertion of Joker is the one that's hardest to disprove, that the ghastly world Fleck inhabits, and by extension ours, is the one we deserve. I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to continue with that one. Trying to find a really negative one. I guess there's not too many negative ones. Joker is resoundingly one note throughout the majority. Yes, it is. Of its running time. Phillips mistakenly, unrelentingly grim of profound, which just renders the film punishing dull. Hey, it was not dull. I mean, no, you know what? I will give that person, Katie Walsh, of Tribune News Services. It was definitely pretty boring for like the first 30 to 45 minutes. There's a lot of backstory that you gotta produce. Here you go. 1 out of 4 by Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune. 1.45 out of 4. In a year of mass culture that gave us HBO's excellent Tribunal. You know what I'm talking about. The city that had the nuclear meltdown. Chernobyl. Yeah, that's it. Joker can claim the grimmiest depiction of a meltdown. It was a meltdown. That's what it was. It was a meltdown of a person. So he's absolutely right on that. It was a meltdown of a person. But I guess he means like meltdown as in horrible movie. Fine. And Hornaday, like the anti-hero at its center. It's a movie trying so hard to be capital B, big, that it can't help looking small. Huh. I don't know. It did try. I mean, all movies should try to be a big movie, right? That's kind of why you make a movie. Usually you try to be big so people can watch it. Especially if you have if you got to pay people, you kind of need it to be big. Barry Hertz, Globe and Mail, 2 out of 4. Honestly, I'm not sure what Joker is here for other than it to cause a clumsily manufactured uproar. Ha 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 ha. You know why it's here. You know why it's here. You know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. You know why I'm doing this podcast. Because I don't. Oh, man. go see it. What else has been going on, man? I've been hitting the gym a lot lately. Haven't really been doing that too much. I think like 5 days in a row now, 4 or 5 days in a row. My hip's been bothering me a lot, which I think is just weight loss, but I also think I carry stress on the right side of my body, which leads to my hip, which can hurt. But I also just think my biomechanics are a little off right now. I just got to do more stretching yoga. I used to do hot yoga. I used to go to this yoga class. It's called Bikram Hot Yoga until I realized the owner of the company was like a disgusting person, just like raping females left and right. Just Google the CEO and founder of Bikram Yoga. It's wild. They all love my cum. That's what he says. He's like, they all beg for me. I'm like, dude, chill, bro. They don't beg for you. Crazy person. Yeah, I used to do hot yoga, and it was like weird. It was like 110 degrees in the room, I think, and there was just a lot of. It was fun. It was really good because I was really bad at it, so I loved the idea of learning about it. But like, I would take my shirt off, and I would only be in like shorts, and it was weird because everybody would have their shirts off, but like they wouldn't. There wasn't a lot of people like young. Everybody was like 65 and older, so it felt a little strange. I was like just 18 or 19, but it was fun. It was good, and I think I need to do more of that. I have a yoga mat in my closet. I think I just got to take care of my body more. So that's been going on. Just a little soreness in my leg, but I think right here on my forearm I have like this bump right above my elbow, and I only like if I see it I think about it. Otherwise, I never think about it at all. Like all day, I'll go all day without thinking about it once. And I think it's a cyst, which is like nasty. I think because that means, like I don't know what that means, but it's been there for a while, and I think it's just a big sack of goo that needs to be like taken out and removed. And so I've been watching the Dr. Pimple Popper a lot lately to kind of figure out how to remove it myself. But the more people I talk to, they say don't do that. Like you shouldn't remove a cyst if you don't have any training in it. So I'm like. Probably a good call. Good call on that. I've been wanting to get to a shooting range really bad with my father and I, and Taylor, just to shoot. It's really fun. I love shooting. I've been desperately wanting to go hunting too lately, which is a very intrusive, impulsive thought because I don't have time. And not that I just don't have time, but I don't have the resources really, and I'm not trained, and I got to get licensed. There's so much things you got to do before you can just go out and shoot and kill animals. That sounds very wrong. That's not why I want to do it. I don't just want to blaze animals. I want to honestly. I've been really romanticizing this thought lately, where, I cooked up this chicken yesterday, and this chicken was just disgusting. Like it tastes good, but it was disgusting in the sense that it was just so big, like just pumped up with steroids. Like these breasts were the size of a human's breast. Like they were just way too big. And I'm like, dude, if I could just hunt like twice a year, 3 times a year for my own meat, that would be so much better. Like I would love that. I could weigh it out. I could make it the way I wanted it. I wouldn't have to go to a grocery store to get this shitty meat. And I just like, I don't know. I felt bad for like the chicken. Like I'm not a vegan. I was vegan for a little bit at one point in my life, but I'm not a vegan now. But I did. I just felt bad. Like, not that the chicken would have been eaten by something else, like by another person, but I just felt bad that I was almost like I felt bad for like my insides that I was putting those into my body. Just how like mountain lions die when they eat poisonous rats. Like those steroids don't just go outside of the chicken. Like they're in the chicken. They're inside the cells of the chicken. So when the chicken dies, it's still within the chicken. And then I eat that, and I'm like, that can't be good for my body. Like, think about all the nonsense that they give chickens to just slow them down so they don't burn calories, and they cut off their beaks so they don't fight and hurt each other. They just eat, and their hearts basically blow up, and then they die. You know, think about all that stuff that they put into the bodies to produce this just massively obese-looking creature, and then you just eat it. So, I don't know. It's weird because every time I drive out of my neighborhood, there's a farm, and the farm has bison on it, like bison and buffalo and shit. And I don't want to kill their animals, obviously. And if you guys live around me, don't like let them know that. Don't tell them that. But I don't want to kill their animals. But I do think it would be pretty cool to like take out like a huge elk or a huge moose or even a bison. But like with a bow. But that's the thing is I'm not good enough to shoot with the bow yet, because if I did shoot and kill an animal, if I did kill it, I could just as likely misfire and hurt it and just let it make it suffer, which I wouldn't want to do. But I have been slightly obsessed with the idea of hunting, but I haven't done it. But definitely the idea of it has been very exciting for me. I finished this book called Something Deeply Hidden Within, which is a great book by Sean Carroll. I would recommend it to people who have any sort of fascination when it comes to any fascination in space or reality, or like the idea of like simulations and different world theories. To read that book, great book. I would give it a 7 out of 10. If you have a fascination in that stuff, maybe 8 out of 10. But if you don't have a fascination in it, like I wouldn't give it a 1 out of 10. I just wouldn't read it. It's one of those books. I don't think it's good for like the general. I think it's good for the general population, so they can at least have somewhat of an idea of quantum mechanics. I have no idea of quantum mechanics, but now I have like a 2% idea of quantum mechanics. I at least understand a little bit of it. And that's why I read it, because I didn't know anything about it, and I get very fascinated with stuff that I don't know, that I really want to read it. But now I'm reading a book called Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, and I'm just burning through that book. That book is, it's Malcolm Gladwell, so it's easy to read, and it's not like a science-based book. I mean, it's a social book, so the words are a lot less complicated, and it's a lot easier to read, but it's still a really good book. I really like that book a lot. But then my next book's going to be The Deep History of Ourselves, and I'm going to read Catch from the Rye. I'm going to try to read this on Thanksgiving break, because I don't want to bring this book back and forth from school, because it doesn't have a good history with public safety. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Something Deeply Hidden. I'd recommend all this book, especially Behave, How the Mind Works. I want to read a lot of more Steven Pinker. Sapiens, a great book. All these books are really solid books. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. I don't think I have much more to talk about. I'm thinking this episode should be out, I don't know, Thursday maybe? Thursday, Wednesday? Yeah, if you guys do listen to this on iTunes, I say it all the time, but please leave it a 5-star rating. It really helps with moving it up on the ratings or on the suggestion list. If you do listen to it, I mean, if you made it this far, thank you. But if you just randomly click to this part of the podcast for whatever reason, listening to it for a long time helps out a lot. Within the next 3 months, I might potentially start putting ads on the videos. So I just want to give a forewarning on that. Because the more I do this, the more I realize how much time goes into it and how much more effort goes into it than I originally thought. Not like time in the sense, but I guess it's an all-day thing. You're thinking of topics and whatever and stuff like that. But I do want to expand. I do want to get new equipment. I would like to get a new microphone and some stuff like that. So I will be putting ads on it eventually, so I can just do direct funding for the podcast. I have a lot of other things that I have to pay for, and all of this, everything we have right now, is funded by me. So I do think if I could make a little bit of money off of the podcast itself to give back into the podcast, that would be awesome. But yeah, if you guys watch this on iTunes, please just leave it a rating, preferably a positive one. That helps me out a lot. If you guys are listening to it on YouTube, also leave a like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. Also hit that notification bell. With that being said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. Episode 33 is over, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. Have a great weekend whenever you're watching this. Keep kicking ass. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the time with your family the next few months. enjoy the rest of 2019. I'll catch you guys in episode 34. See ya.